Yes, guys, welcome to our podcast, which has currently no name. And today's special guest, we have us,
Ourselves.
ourselves, Shannon.
Hello. Welcome back. Well, I'll say welcome back, but it's not actually it's the first episode, so we'll go with it. But it's our first one in Dubai, so that'll be interesting.
Is Get Rich or Dubai Trying. So, do you want to go first? Introduce yourself. Who are you? How do I know you?
God, long story then. So my name's Shannon. So we both run Collective Closers together, alongside Stay, our silent partner at the moment. But how did we actually meet? Was it through Stay?
I think it was through Steve.
Yeah, it was through Stay. So even Stay should actually probably be here, to be fair, considering he's the one who introduced us.
Yeah.
So I've been doing marketing now for 10 years. I'm nearly 31, so it's a long time. And then I think I started working with Steve 2 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And then we started working together last year, the year before.
Yeah. So, tell the audience how you've gone from marketing to fitness and back into marketing.
I honestly don't know. Do you know what happened? I went into digital marketing straight after uni. I was like, oh, I love this, blah blah, but I could never find the right role that I really enjoyed. I was working with so many different people. So at one point I was working with clients who were business owners, shed owners, or windows, or blind. So it was it was literally
Blinds?
Yeah. So honestly, so we must have had 30 different clients, and it was all just really boring stuff. And I was like, I really hate this.
What is digital marketing? So many people out here are freelance marketers, and they're obviously when I say I'm in digital marketing, they tell me they're in digital marketing. I'm like,
But there's so many different things you can do in digital marketing.
mean.
So it's it could be social media, paid ads, SEO, TikTok, influencers, PR. It could be so many different things you can do. Mainly, my whole focus has always been paid ads, Google ads, Facebook, and stuff like that, and then obviously social media. But then whenever I was working in digital marketing, I was like, I'm so bored of this. I want to do something else. And it was actually my PT at the time told me, it was like, have you ever considered being a personal trainer? And I was like, no. And he's like, you should come work for us. I was like, okay, I'll give it a whack. And then I ended up actually really enjoying it. And then
So you've always been into training, or?
yeah, I think I started properly training 2017 or something. I had trained before that, I just wasn't doing it properly, and then started doing it in 2017, and I was doing it part time on top of my other job and stuff like that, and I was working quite a lot. And obviously my own fitness kind of took a hit of that as well, so it's a bit ridiculous. And then I think, when was it? Was it 2020? Just when the pandemic hit, I moved back to Liverpool and was working in a really big agency. I was finally got the job that I wanted, working in a big agency. I was bored again. I was like, why did I do this?
Have you got ADHD as well?
I don't know, maybe, but I just it's not even that. I was just I was really bored. I felt my brain, although they weren't giving us a lot of work. So when we were doing it, I was like, it's over in 5 seconds. And I was like, I'm so bored of this. I need to do something else. So that's why I ended up starting doing online coaching again. Then I worked for a high ticket coach for a while. And then I was like, that went to shit.
And then you went out on your own.
Yeah, so I went out on my own. I was still doing digital marketing at the time as well. So I was working for an agency and I was the account manager. So I was running a lot of campaigns and stuff. And again, it was so boring. I don't even know what happened. I remember when I was talking to Steve, he was my mentor at the time. And he was like, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's like, I'm not surprised. He's like, you don't seem like you enjoy it. And I was like, I really don't enjoy coaching people. I actually hate coaching people for weight loss. I was like, it's so annoying. I can't deal with the people anymore. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I feel like I could do digital marketing for online coaches. And he's like, why don't you try it for us? And that's how Social Shannon became a thing. And then it just absolutely snowballed from there. So, and that's why I think I am where I am now.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, as they say. Well, the last 2 years have been an absolute blur. I feel like it's just went really, really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it has.
It's been what would you what happened to your business, your coaching business as well?
So yeah, just my backstory then. For those of you who don't know, I actually was in the law industry, should we say, the field of law, doing conveyancing. Obviously went to uni, for 3 or 4 years, done my masters, worked in the solicitors for 5 years, was literally on the brink of qualifying. I think I was like 6 months away from the pinnacle, I suppose.
Is a solicitor or like a lawyer? Is there a difference between the both of them?
No, a lawyer's like a umbrella term, I think. You can be there's loads of different types of lawyers. So you can either be a solicitor, a barrister. I was qualifying as a legal executive, which is like the same as a solicitor, really. And then, 6 months before qualifying, I decided to do my PT qualification because I'd always really been into fitness, not necessarily like lifting weights and stuff. I'd always just been...
Yeah, because you do football as well, don't you?
Yeah, football, boxing, but yeah, not necessarily like weightlifting. Done my PT course, and then like everyone in the office obviously knew that I went to the gym, like knew that I was like really dedicated, obviously knew that I boxed and stuff, and they would always, I'd literally get like hundreds of emails messaging me like, seeing you've done blah blah meal plan, can you do me one? And I'm messaging, emailing people back like with the macro breakdown, sending them like my fitness pal and that.
Oh my God.
So yeah, just like obviously there was a big demand for it, especially like within like office culture is so...
Oh, it's horrible. Like,
toxic and
it's like
unhealthy.
beer Fridays were like a massive thing when I lived in Belfast for like a year at like my old job, and I swear to God I did nothing in that fucking job because it was I feel like my role was made up, and like I swear to God I did nothing. I was like a waste of like a whole year of my life, but I needed to do it. And every Friday everyone was like, beer Fridays, like, you know,
yeah.
at 4 o'clock it was like the beer drawer,
Yeah.
and then you went out and it was like food every day, like just your diet in general was absolutely terrible.
It was in our office, it was Fat Fridays, but it wasn't just Fat Fridays, it ended up turning into Fat Mondays, Fat Tuesdays, Fat Wednesdays. Like, honestly, most of the staff used to, like, go home because it was so stressful. Like, bear in mind, like, conveyancing, right, you're dealing with people who are moving house, which is one of the most stressful things, apparently, like death, divorce and moving house are like
I mean, my partner's a mortgage advisor and I can 100% vouch for that because the guy literally just, he wouldn't say he's stressed, but he works all the time, and he'll work from morning to night, like, and like no one ever says thank you, and I'm like, it's so rude that like they're not even like, they're like, oh, can you get this done? It's like 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, you being serious? Like, you work for yourself, and you haven't got anyone helping you.
It's heavy. It was probably the heaviest. Like, I worked harder in that job than I've ever worked in my life. Like, it's so stressful. We used to have this room, it was like a stress room where people would like go to cry. I would
Seriously?
go, honestly, like I would go in there to cry. On Fridays.
I couldn't imagine you actually crying though either. Like, I don't feel like, have you cried since?
Nah, I haven't. To be fair, I haven't cried since, but that's probably the only time in my life I've cried. But obviously Fridays, you'll know, completion day, right? So Fridays were always the most stressful days. And then obviously everyone would go out and like get bevied, but people would just do it every night. Like, they'd go home and nail a bottle of wine. And like that was just normal. Like, and then you come in, they get Mackie's brekkie. So anyway, that was kind of the start of my PT career, really. And the more I started taking clients on and stuff, and the more I was doing that outside of work, the more I hated my job. So I'd done that for about a year. And then I went part-time, and they were like, Vicky, listen, if you go part-time, you cannot have the same responsibility as what you do now, because it's not fair to these clients who are your files. I had like 80 clients at one point, 80 files, and they were like, it's not fair to them if you're going part-time and you're not in the office. And I was like, sound, demote me. So they demoted me to like an office admin assistant or whatever. So I'd come in 3 days a week, and I was downstairs. It was called Conveyancing Support Team, and I literally did fuck all. Like, I'd just go in, turn up to work, and I just, so bad to be fair, I'd just turn up to work and I'd just be writing me clients' meal plans, texting all my clients, writing workout plans and stuff. And then I ended up quitting. So I went part-time in July. It lasted 3 months part-time, and then went full-time PT in the September 2019.
Oh my God.
And then was doing that full-time, like built up like a decent client base and stuff, was doing classes, and then lockdown hit. So I was like, fuck. yeah, that was heavy. That was another time I cried, actually, when I lost my business. So that was the 2 times in my life that I cried.
Yeah, but you didn't lose your business though, did you? Because you ended up going online for like...
Well, yeah. So that was the transition then in the June. I basically sat at home, felt sorry for myself for 2 months. Was having a lovely time, to be honest, like 2 months off work, and then like shit got real and I was like, fuck, I actually do have a mortgage to pay and a car on finance. And my dad was like, just go back to work. Like, why do you even want to be a PT? It's not even a real job. Obviously, like, Asian culture is very doctor, dentist, lawyer. They're the only things you can be. Otherwise, you're a peasant. So, yeah, obviously when I told him that, he was very disappointed.
I know, but I think that's like people always, like I was the same when like people are like, oh, why do you want to become like a coach? Like, you know, you've done like this at uni. Because I was the same. I done 3 years at uni and done a master's. And like you spend
at least you're doing something to do with your degree now, though.
I know, but like, yeah, I think it's it is like a massive like stigma, isn't it, against people who like become personal trainers or like online coaches, and it's like it's not a real job. And I'm like, it is a real job because the people you deal with, it's real issues and it's stressful and people are annoying. So like, go to work every day.
People are annoying.
Yeah, they are annoying. Go to work every day and you're a PT and you have people like messaging you, like crying their eyes out and like stressing you out. Like, my weight hasn't dropped today. It's a real job.
Yeah.
Trust me, you're dealing with people's real problems. It's definitely a real job. They don't get paid enough, if I'm being honest, to listen to people's problems. People need to be qualified as counsellors.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt like. I felt like I was a glorified counsellor at one
Yeah.
point. I was like, I cannot fix your mental health issues.
Yeah.
Like, please, I have my own. I have my own mental health issues at the time.
She's telling to do about that.
Yeah, I have my own health issues to deal with, and I was like, I really can't do this. And then that's why I was just like, it's just not for me. Like, but that job, like with the high-tech coach, like put me to the brink of like a mental breakdown.
She's like really successful, and she's very,
yeah, but
very
like
busy.
even whenever we went to that talk and she was talking about that time, like it all like made sense, because it was like she looked back now and she knows what she was doing wrong. Like, she knows she was pushing us to the hard. She was in car. She was like chasing the money and chasing the target.
Yeah.
And then my mental health suffered really badly. It took me 3 months not 3 months. It took me two solid months at home just to kind of like actually get back to normal mindset, because I was like, my nervous system had like been so shot. I was like, I don't know if I can actually do this again.
Put you off for life, literally.
Yeah, and it just put me off coaching then. Like, when I was trying to start up my own, and then I was like, I actually want to do this. Like, I don't want to start up my own stuff.
Yeah.
But then like starting my own business as social Shannon was actually really like, it was brilliant.
Because you were passionate about it. So, yeah, so obviously, just going back to, I was saying before, going online, obviously that was the start of EY coaching. Probably what the majority of people know me for, really. Grew the business quite fast. It grew very rapidly. I literally had nothing better to do in lockdown other than to work on the business. Was getting like amazing results and stuff. And at the same time, I hired Steve as a coach.
Did you?
Yeah, that's how I met him. I hired him as my online coach. I was only supposed to stay with him for like 2 or 3 months, and I ended up coaching with him for like 9 months, and he's the person who probably introduced me to weightlifting, really. And yeah, from there, we had like a dead good relationship. He was giving me business advice and stuff like that, so that's how I kind of came into contact with Steve. And then he swerved me basically in the September. I think that was September 2021. He swerved me and was like, listen, I'm not doing coaching no more, but I'm doing business mentoring. He was like, so I'll let you in on the like in the group and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, running a business, exactly what you just said there, like it ended up becoming about chasing numbers.
Yeah, it always does though, because like once you hit that ceiling of like I always set myself targets, and I was always in the girls, I go and hit like 25k, 30k, blah blah, and then even when I got that, it caused more problems, because, and I've said this every time, like if I go back and start a VA agency ever again, I would do it so differently.
Yeah, same.
Like there were so many things I look back now and I'm like, I wish I'd have done it differently, like this and this, like, because what we've done now with closers is more or less the same setup I should have had for like social Shannon. I'm like, that would have been actually really, it would have been really more successful. To be fair, we were actually really successful, but I feel like it would have like probably ran for a lot longer, a lot more smoother if we had like the actual processes in place.
Yeah.
And it's the same obviously now. That's why we've started closers, because obviously we know what we've done wrong in the previous ones.
Well, we'll get into that now then, shall we? So how on earth did we become business partners, and why, or what's the reasons that we started Collective Closers? Like, how have I gone from online coaching, you've gone from online coaching to setting up this marketing agency and sales agency.
But I think as well, what worked well is like you obviously got into sales with Steve, so you were obviously doing the sales stuff for him. Obviously, I went in and done lead gen as like social Shannon, but then like it became more apparent whenever we merged social Shannon into collective coaching. I was like, this model just doesn't work.
So for people who don't know, what is a VA? What's a social Shannon?
So a virtual assistant is someone, it can be obviously a number of anything. Like there's so many virtual assistants, but they all do different stuff. Ours was specifically lead generation for fitness coaches. So obviously like it's well known in the industry now. And I had 14 members of staff at our biggest, and I think we had like 70 clients or something.
70?
Yeah.
You ended up like growing rapidly, didn't you? You ended up going from like 0 to, you done 100 grand in 6 months.
Yeah, it was absolutely mental. I think that was like the scariest times. I was like, how the fucking hell have we gotten to this point?
This little Irish girl doing these crazy big numbers.
I know, I never took a day off either. It was like working 7 days a week at that point, and I was like, yep, gonna get it, keep going. And then I was like, when was it? Was it last year? Because obviously I was studying last year. It was like my 30th birthday, and absolutely like had a ball, like pure, like just, and I was like, oh my God, I can't. But that's the thing, isn't it? When you have like, I couldn't take a day off. When I did take a day off, I felt like my business couldn't run without me, and that was the hardest thing. I was like, this is never going to work because I can't be 110% all the time. And then whenever we were merged, and like I said, we were merging into that like offer that we had for collective coaching, just holes started to appear more because like now there was more other people like getting involved, and I was like, shit, they're actually all right. There's holes in this business I don't know how to fix yet. And there was obviously, then we started the process in October of thinking about collective closers because we went to Miami. But the setting company, when we were talking about it, so like collective closers now is an appointment setting company. Obviously we help people like, you know, get appointment setters and then place them in like roles and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a lot more, I think it's a lot better because the people,
it's a lot more efficient.
Yeah, because the people are actually trained like to a high standard. Obviously it's our training that we've built. But then the clients that we're getting as well are a lot more switched on. I feel like, you know, because they're investing in it and it's like it's a lot of money, they're like, I need this to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're actually going to sit and listen to me, which is good. And then obviously you're actually going to listen to what I'm saying instead of being like, see that VA I have for an hour a day. This is literally what it was like. She should be doing all my work for me. Like, I should be getting more calls booked. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, they're missing the point. So, yeah, just to I suppose, clarify, like, the differences between what we were doing what you were doing previously, what I was doing previously. So from online coaching, Steve kind of recognised my ability that I was all right at selling high ticket packages, and asked me to start selling his fitness business mentorship. Started taking calls, was doing both for a long time, weren't I? So I was like, half my week was VY coaching, half my week was taking calls for Stay.
Yeah, because remember when we went to New York last year, it was like this time last year we went and you were like still like doing like client check-ins and stuff.
Oh my God, yeah, I remember that time when we went out the night before, and I was like, you were in bed dying, hungover. And I was like, it was like 8 o'clock in the morning for us, because the UK was ahead. I was like, shit, I've got a client coaching call now. I was like, I'm going to have to get up, make the bed quick. So yeah, for a long time, maybe like, I think it was about 8 months or something, I was doing both. So I was running my business and then doing the sales course for Stay. And in the end, I was just like, that's what I'm passionate about. Like, I love sales. And it just, the stress of just running the business. Obviously then, in the meantime, I moved to Dubai as well. My business was in the UK. A lot of my clients were in the UK. So yeah, it just became a little bit much. And Steve in the end was just like, we were getting busier and busier, and he just basically said to me, didn't he? Like, he was like, what's it going to take for you to leave this company behind? It was a very difficult decision, to be honest, because obviously I'd put everything, I'd spent a lot of money, a lot of time in building everything to where it was. So it was a very difficult decision for me to let it go, but I ended up giving it to Emma, who was my co-coach. Trusted her. We still speak. I always ask how everyone's getting on. Just basically give all my clients to her. So she seems like she's doing a very good job with that. But and then yeah, it was full-time sales and for Stay for ages. You know what I loved the most about getting rid of the business was not fucking posting on Instagram. Like I
think that's like the biggest thing, isn't it? Like, I think I had people actually posting for me on social Shannon because I had no time whatsoever, and it sounds like, see how, like, when you look back, do you ever think about like how much money you actually wasted? Like, I would be so much better off if I had just kept my money. I feel like
Get your money in what, not invested into social Shannon?
not in that way, but like invested in things that I thought were making it better, and I was like ultimately like it was a fucking total waste of money. I was like pissing money out of the wall basically.
I feel like I'm quite good at making
I spent
good decisions.
I spent about $3,000 on ads and it didn't work. And it lasted for a full week. Like I actually ran the ad for a week and it didn't even work. And then
really?
yeah, and then I was like, oh my god, I think I can't because I was trying to change to offer time. I was trying to do appointment setting at the time as well. So I was trying to add in this new offer, and I was like, okay, so what do I do? Like adding this offering. So I remember I joined the mentorship as well. So that was another like $4,000 that I spent.
Oh yeah, and you don't even do it.
Yeah.
No, I want to say like obviously the money that I've spent on mentorships, and you could say that it was a waste of money and stuff, but I feel like if I hadn't spent the money on those mentorships or like me PT course, I'm not doing nothing to do with PT now. I'm still in the fitness industry, but it's like each of those things has led me to where I am now. So I don't think I wouldn't say that they're a waste of money. Obviously, always not a waste, always a lesson in it.
Yeah, it's a massive lesson for me. Never did not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always look back and I'm like, I kind of wish I hadn't done what, like, to be fair, I learned a lot from the mentorship in terms of like what they were doing and like things I picked up and stuff like that we actually implemented into collective coaching for Legion. And then it's obviously helped me now with collective coaches a little bit too.
100%,
So it's like, it is actually really, it's been worth it in the end. I don't think it's more for the money than it was, but like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say never what's the saying? Never a failure, always a lesson, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Shannon's more of a cup half empty kind of gal. I'm more of a cup half full kind of gal.
You sound like Tom. Tom always says I'm a pessimist.
Yes.
And I'm like, nah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a realist. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. It's just, like, life is just shit. It's what happens.
Maybe that's why we work so well together. So, yeah. From there then, obviously, collective closers, we've been running since... Well, we launched the course, didn't we, in January? Mm-hmm. What would you say over obviously you've had your own business now for the past couple of years, what would you say your biggest struggles are as a female? Obviously, 30, you've been quite young in your 20s, started business.
So I think I started mine when I was 28.
As a female entrepreneur, what would you say your biggest struggles are or were?
I think it's like not being actually recognised in that industry. Like no one really, I don't know. It's. I know it sounds really weird, but like people always like look at like the men as like they're the spearheads of like the industry and they're like taking you forward. Like everyone used to just look at me and be like, oh, it's that girl works for Steve.
That little 5 foot fucking two girl.
That's that girl, she just works for Steve. And I was like, well, no, I own my own business as well. So it was kind of like, I was like, I do work for Steve, but I was like, I own social Shannon too. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I've done that by myself. But yeah, I think like the biggest things is like, number one is like obviously not being recognised. I think people just kind of don't really, like, I wouldn't say sales a real job, but they don't look at you as if like you are someone who's been entrepreneurial, like, and done something.
Yeah.
And then I think as well, like, people just not like don't expect like good thing. Like, sounds really weird, but I think people have always looked at me and thought like, oh, like, is that what you do? Or like, like, oh, like, very well done for you. And I'm like, that's a really sarky, like condescending comment. Do you know what I mean? And people always kind of look at you and say like, oh, well done. You started doing a little business, and you're just like,
you're
like, actually, no, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Yeah.
Like,
how's your little online coaching business going?
Yeah, how's your little online business and stuff going? And I was like, okay, yeah, because you can do what I do as well. It's brilliant. And then I think as well, like, I grew up like where we're from, you don't really hear of many people like doing their own, like starting their own business and like growing it the way we have. So I think like back home, everyone's expected to have like a full-time job, and like you say like, oh yeah, I run my own business. They're like, oh, you're my business, do you? And I'm like, we business, right? Okay, we business, right?
Make more money than you make in a year, love.
But it's like it is hard. Like I think, because obviously where I'm from as well, like people don't expect you to do well. They don't expect you. They expect you kind of just like to get like a little shitty 9-to-5 job. And like all my mates are like back home, like they do have like nice jobs and like lovely little families and stuff as well. But it was just never nothing I wanted to do. I was always like, I was going to want to go and do more. Like I want to, and I think I got that from my mummy as well, because she was always like pushing me to do stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, like she didn't do anything that I've done, but like she was kind of always like, you need to get out of here. You need to go and do this. You go see the world. And it's kind of ingrained with me ever since.
Yeah.
Like I was always like, my stepdad, like, sounds so bad. My stepdad actually told my mummy that I was going to get pregnant at 16 and I'd have no life. And I was like,
Yeah.
proved you wrong, bitch.
That was literally me at like 14. I was in with a very bad crowd when I was in school, got kicked out. Well, we all know now it was because of my ADHD, undiagnosed.
You can't blame me on everything.
literally blaming that on everything.
My
But
life's in tatters because I have ADHD.
Yeah, I obviously got kicked out of school, was like with some, this is when I had boyfriends at the time who were like, I think they've been in and out of jail now, to be
when
honest.
you were straight for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I remember the teacher saying to me, one of the teachers saying to me, if you stay with him, you're going to end up, something to do with like being addicted to drugs, or I'm going to end up in jail. Like there wasn't really any hope for me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I think the turning point for me was like when I was 16, and one of the teachers was like, she graded all my papers and they all come back like G's, and I was like, fuck, like actually I like this, I'm not okay with this, like being a failure basically. So from there, obviously I got kicked out of college as well, but kind of always had the drive to be successful, but I just didn't know in what, and I knew I knew normal life like wasn't for me, especially again where I'm from, like, you know, grew up in I didn't really know many successful people. Like, I'm trying to think of like when I grew up who I knew that was like had money or had successful business or was successful. The only way I knew was the way that my dad told me to be successful was to go to uni, be a lawyer.
But I think that's what
doctor.
everyone's family's like that, aren't they? Like, you have to go to uni, you have to get an education. And it's like, we know ourselves, like, I didn't need to go to uni. I loved uni. Like, I absolutely had a ball. Like, it was brilliant, yeah. Like, I made some really good friends. I'm still good friends with a lot of them now. And I absolutely loved it. Like, I thought it was the best experience ever. And I'm like, I would encourage people just go for the experience. Like, I still learn stuff, but it's not stuff that I apply to anything now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I'm think like what I did, not that I even like turned up to uni.
do you know what I remember from uni? It's the 4 P's of marketing. That's literally it. The 4 P's of marketing. It doesn't even apply to anything anymore because it's all changed. They do digital marketing now as an actual degree though,
Really?
which is good. Like back then.
What uni? You went to Liverpool, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Hope. You know, like
Hope, no hope.
yeah,
hope
no
the hope. Hopeless.
Yeah, hopeless. But yeah, I done really well. I actually got like I got a first in my dissertation.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, and got a little award and all for being for the Dean's Award.
You're so smart. I'm going to talk about the struggles that I think people, well, the biggest struggles that I've faced as being a female entrepreneur. I'm probably going to say the same about not being taken seriously by
Other people.
men
Yeah.
in particular. Obviously, I deal with on sales calls a lot of men, and it's almost like, how long have I been working for Steve? 2 years. So like 26-year-old girl.
It's kind of almost
them,
what to do. Like, I don't like that idea of like being told what to do.
So like when I'm telling them, you know, they're coming in, they want to grow the business, not really earning a lot of money, and it's almost like they have an issue, especially the older ones, the PTs who've been in the industry a while. You know, they've been in the industry 10 years and they've not really quite made it. And like, I'm telling them what to do to move their business forward. And it's almost like they have an attitude.
Yeah.
I've put the phone down so many times on fellas, and they also just think like, just because you're a female, especially in this country, I've seen it with one of my mates as well who owns a marketing agency. Like, the men just don't take her seriously, treat her like shit, speak to her like shit. It's not nice at all. So yeah, sometimes I do think it helps that I can hide behind Steve. I feel like a lot of people are quite scared of him.
At least he backs you though.
I would say what?
At least he backs you though.
Yeah, I would say that's the most difficult thing. As I say, yeah, it's probably similar to you not being taken seriously.
I think as well, because like I look younger, people don't actually realise what age I actually am. Like, I'm 30 years old and I'm like, I've got like 10 years experience on most people that come in this, and they're almost kind of like not listening to what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm telling you what I'm saying because I've learned how to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Or
giving you the information.
Yeah.
Take it, do what you will. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Yeah.
But don't come crying to me when it doesn't work.
Yeah, and I think like we've had people messaging, you know, when obviously they're booking sales calls with me, and they're like, I want to speak to Steve, and Steve's like, listen, mate, Vicky's qualified enough to tell you how to grow your coaching business. Like, trust me. And they're like, do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, we've had that a few times. I'm going to say another struggle is definitely for me, relationships.
See, my experience is a little bit different than yours. I mean, we spoke about this before. Like, see, because I know myself, if I was with someone who was in a 9-to-5 job, like, I would not be able to be with them. So, like, because of how me and Tom are, like, we're very much, like, both entrepreneurial, like, mindsets. We both know that you have to, like, you have to compromise and you have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. Like, as long as you make time for each other, like, at some point during the week, like, it's fine. Yeah. And there'll be times, like, where you're like, oh, like, I do want more time. You're like, this isn't going to be my life forever. What we're doing now is building something that for the future that we can, like, he can be like, I can actually step away. I've got my staff and my business to do all this. And I'm like, I actually have a really good team. I can take more time off and, like, I can, take a day off here whenever I want to go on holiday. But, like, we know both ourselves that it's a grind. Like, the reason why I'm so supportive of him now is because he was the same way for me when I was doing Shannon.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't complain. He was like, I don't care if you talk to clients at like 11 o'clock at night. Like, I know it's what it's about. And now it's kind of like the reverse. Like, I'm like, look, do what you have to do. He's obviously doing his office and stuff. So it's a different experience for me. Like, I know if I had been with my ex-partner at the time, probably would end up running myself off a bridge. But, like, because he would have done my head in.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't have actually been able to be successful if I had been with my ex, because he just wouldn't have allowed that in a way.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think most people just don't get it.
They don't get it because they haven't been in that situation either.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, like, you need to be with someone who has, like, a very similar mindset to you and is, like, driven and ambitious to the point where, like, they understand that, like, you have to do the thing you have to do. And that's it. Like, regardless of, like, what time you have to do this job, and that's what it is. Like, if you want to have the life you do have, like, you're going to have to just make a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can't just, like, work 4 hours a day and think that the whole world owes you something, because it's not the way it works.
4 hour work week.
Yeah, 4 hour work week. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's days I literally spend, like, 4 hours just on calls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just, like, life. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, like, obviously with me working UK hours and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, 100%. I would say they're the two biggest main struggles that I've faced in my 28 years.
I feel like mine's is, like, I don't know. I feel like mine's has been, like, it's the same, but, like, I don't know, like, also kind of, like, in a weird way, it's like it's very like a sexist industry, isn't it? Like, there is a lot of more male, like,
in the fitness, you mean, or marketing?
Yeah, in fitness and marketing, there's a lot more male dominant people. There's an agency actually in Manchester I always look out for, and actually did see the other week. It's called Rise at 7, and I've been following this girl Carrie for, like, a long time. Her and her business partner set it up, Rise at 7, as, like, an SEO and a PR agency. And they have just, in the last 2 years, ran boom. Like, I mean, they are multi-million pound, like, company. They've got, like, offices in New York, like, Manchester, like, all over America now. It's mad, like, how much they've grown. I always watch all her posts because I'm like, she's so inspiring, because, like, she's just, like, she's about the same age as me, or younger than me. And, like, she's just a multi-millionaire now, and I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what I would love to, like, I look at her and I'm like, if she can do it, like, we all can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, she's, like, quite young. She just kind of went with it, and she gets it, like, again, like, it's a very male-dominated industry. Like, you don't see that many.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, you do now. There is a lot more, like, social media agencies being run by women, which is brilliant. I love seeing, like, other women, like, really do really well. Like, I love supporting them and stuff. But yeah, like, I love seeing, like, women do well, because I feel like it's so. We're also used to seeing males in, like, those types of roles, and I'm like, I love when I see another woman, I'm supporting her. Yeah. I'm gonna follow her. I'm gonna share whatever she's gonna be doing.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the fitness industry can be quite toxic and jealous.
Yeah. It's like, why can't I have what he has? Or, like, I work just hard. I'm like, well, do you work just hard like that person? Like, yourself, like, people have come into the collective coaching, and, like, they work their asses off and they get rewarded, like, really well. There's other people come in here and think they need it's handed them on a plate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no, because you have to actually do the work to get there. Like, it's not going to come easy.
Yeah.
Like, I remember I was, like, coaching this guy before, and, like, he was taking, like, 2 days off a week, and I was like, are you being serious? You took 2 days off a week and you're trying to build a 6-figure business.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but I need that time off. And I was like, no, you don't. I was like, I'm not being funny. I was like, you have 4 months here. I was like, you cannot take 2 days off, like, from doing anything.
Yeah.
And it was kind of much like, I'm just ticking the boxes though, and I'm
That's
like,
the thing, yeah. People see all this success on social media and they think it's come easy. Like, people probably look at it, because I'm guilty of it as well. Like, I only post the best of what's happening in my life on social media, and I think people just look at it, especially Steve's Instagram, they just think, they see these big numbers and they think it just you know, comes.
yeah, they don't see the endless hours sitting behind your laptop
literally.
and getting bags underneath your eyes because you're that tired and like the stress and like, you know, obviously all the things that come with it. Like, I think the other week, whenever we were really busy, I didn't even take a lunch.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just like, I know that sounds really like,
No, that's me
like
now.
third world problems, but I was like, I didn't even take a lunch. I literally just worked and got it over and done with, because sometimes it's what you need to do. And people are like, I feel like sometimes people are work shy a little bit. Like, they're just like, they just think they're like, oh, it's going to be handy to me if I just do all these things. I'm like, that's not how it works.
What would you say? Where would you say your drive comes from?
I feel like my drive comes from like loads of different stuff. So obviously, like, it's probably deeper issues that people will probably say. But I never want to let anyone else take away from me what people have done in the past and like say, I give you that. I done that for you, because it's happened to me with a number of my exes and my stepdad as well included. Hope you're watching this. Yeah, he just took things away from me. Like, I have nothing of my mummy's, nothing after she passed away. Like, no inheritance, no house, no clothes, no nothing. He took everything away from me. And I'm like, I'm never letting anyone do that again. But then my ex is the same. Like, he tried to manipulate me and like control me to the point where like whenever we did break up, he was like, I give you this. And like, it was kind of like, it was always to do with money. And I'm like, I'll never let anyone ever do that to me again. So I literally pay my way for everything. Like, that's like a big thing for me. I'm like, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
Like, you can't take this away from me because I've built this.
Yeah.
Like, don't even think about it. And I think that's the drive. Like, yeah.
I feel like most of, obviously, the coaches that we work with, I feel like the ones who are successful have got this like dark history of trauma somewhere.
Yeah. Mine is a long, windy road of dark trauma.
Yeah. But like using it to spark the little fire in your belly.
Yeah, but I think as well can sometimes there's good and bad to it as well. Like, I think sometimes I get to the point where I'm like, what else can I do? What more can I do? What more can I do? I'm like, I'm doing enough. Like, I'm doing everything I set out to do, and then it's kind of like, I get like shiny object boredom syndrome, so I buy bags. That's why I buy handbags.
Bags and heels.
Yeah, bags and heels. I'm like, oh, it's like a little like present to myself, like, you know, like what, like, and people are like, why can you spend that much money on something? Because I that's what I always wanted to do, was be able to be like, to go and buy myself a handbag that I want to. I don't buy a fucking handbag every day, like, do you know what I mean? I've bought like 2 in a year. So it's like, for me, I'm like, that's my little thing, and I'm like, that's the life I always wanted, and I've got it now, and I'm like, and I like, and people are like, oh, we shouldn't spend that much money. I'm like, but I'm gonna enjoy this now, because tomorrow could be gone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Tomorrow you could have a kid.
Oh God, no. No.
But
No.
yeah, no, like 100%. Like, people think like, oh, you know, obviously, I think that's why we all get on so well in collective coaching. Like, obviously, people look at staying as cars and stuff, but you know what? If shiny objects is what motivates you, then so what?
Yeah. People always get like, they're like, oh, like, I couldn't be like that, or, you know, it's too flashy. And you're like, well, that's what someone likes and that's what someone wants to do. Like, just let them do what they want to do. Yeah. It's not that it's got nothing to do with you. I don't put any of my stuff on Instagram like that often. I'll put sometimes like my like bag on, be like, oh, treat myself. It's Christmas. It's not even Christmas. That's because it's like, it's something I want to do. It's my money. Like, then I work fucking hard for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to treat myself.
Yeah, 100%.
As long as I have everything, all my bills are paid. Like, I've got on rent, everything's paid. My car's paid for. Like, I don't like, what's got to do with anybody else if I buy myself a handbag?
Yeah, exactly.
And a pair of shoes.
100%. 100%.
I'm collecting like a nice little collection now in my spare room.
So last question for us. What are our goals with collective closers over the next 12 months, would you say?
I think for us especially, I think we want to become like the UK's #1 setting company. Like, I want people to know that collective closers is like, that's where your go-to if you want to get an appointment setter. That's your go-to if you need someone who's going to be in sales. That's like what I want to do for it. And like, at the moment, we're still in that kind of like building stage and we're trying to iron the things out, which is, it's absolutely fine. But I want people to be like, as soon as they hear, oh, collective closers, yeah, they do really good appointment setters. I got an appointment setter off Simmons, absolutely smashing it. She's like helped me so much. I want people to see that's what the business is about.
Yeah, 100%. I think like same for me. I really want this to be, well, we kind of act as a recruitment agent, more than a marketing agent, really. But I really want this to be like a genuine career path for people who do want it, and they do want to escape the 9-5, they do want to escape the rat race, and know that you can still earn this type of money full time. You know, if we're saying 3 to 5K a month from your mobile phone from anywhere, like that's more than I was earning as a solicitor. Do you know what I mean? I always say if all else fails, I'm going to be an appointment setter and go and live on the
OnlyFans.
yeah, or OnlyFans maybe. But yeah, like genuinely want this to be a career path, and we've had such good feedback, haven't we? Like from the people who've been placed, like people leaving their jobs, people moving to Thailand, like, you know, people being able to earn extra money. What was that girl who was unemployed and we gave her a chance? Like, you don't need no qualifications for this. All you really need is a work ethic and to be hungry to, you know, to book appointments, really, to book calls.
I think for some people as well, like, there's like, everyone's like, oh, you need to go get a normal job, like, you know, doing all that is just not going to make you money. And it's like, well, we proved that you can make money on your phone. Like, it's not saying it's pretty easy, it's still a tough job, do you know what I mean? You're still working the targets and stuff like that. Like, we're not selling like a glamorous lifestyle.
Quick fix. Get rich quick.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. You still have to work just as hard, and you're like, obviously it's extra money and stuff. We have people who are still like flight attendants and still doing this. Do you know what I mean? I've got people like who are, you know, having kids and like, you know, like I just want to be able to make more money for my kids and stuff like that, so I can actually get like the right things. So it is nice, like, but for business wise and stuff like that, I do want people to see it as like the number one, like, you come to us if you want an appointment centre. Yeah,
especially in the UK, and then from there global, innit?
Take over the world.
Take over the world. Well, shall we wrap up?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, guys, thank you very much for...
come and listen to our TED Talk.
Yeah, for listening to our TED Talk. And if there's ever another one, we'll see you in that.